Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl, Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
You're one breakthrough away from your next six-figure year. Maybe it's a better offer, a sharper sales process, or finally cracking client acquisition. Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets, where every single week we hand you the strategies, frameworks, and real-world plays that are working right now for coaches just like you. I'm your host, the Road Dog, with the guy we all laughed at when he said he wanted to do stand-up comedy, but turns out no one's laughing now. Karl Bryan. Shoots, welcome to the show.
I like that one, Shoot. They laugh. Who's laughing? Okay, got it. I got it. All right, what's happening? What's happening apart from bad jokes?
As they say, hey, how do you keep an idiot in suspense? Well, you're not going to fall for that one. You're not going to fall for that one, Shoots. Okay, all right. I've seen that one too. And people are like, oh, and like, oh, yeah, anyways. Well, what's going on, Shoots? How has the week been since the last episode?
Been good, buddy. Been good. Work, sleep. AI. I got to tell you, I'm so knee deep in AI. It's freaking scary, but we got some cool stuff. You know, it's kind of funny. I wrote in like one of my daily emails that like, these AI experts talking about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think all these AI experts are working as little as they're making it out to be. I'm gonna mess that up. You know what I mean? Like they're all going double time. And it's like a video game. You can't stop.
Are you 100%? It's exactly like that. Are you probably, if you're like me, you're probably using at least 2 to 3 different AIs as well?
We're building our AI Coach Assist, the AI Business Coaching Dojo. We got this new product coming that is just lights out. Wait till I'm not going to drop up here, but it's coming, buddy. It's coming. But anyway, so yeah, just diving in on that. It's kind of wild, but it's a water slide, It's a water slide. Got to stay away.
Well, there you go. Water slide. There's so many comments, but I'm going to keep those to myself. Listen, I want to do a little bit of word association. And speaking of spreading out and over different AIs, if I say the word diversify to you, obviously my background in financial services, I've got a pretty clear thought in my mind of what that is. But let's dive deep into the scary mind of Karl Bryan and see what he says when I say the word diversify.
Okay, I would diversify. I'd say that you're going to hear it a lot. I think that it's misused. Reminds me of passive income. Not very passive. Good portion of the time. But anyways, getting rich takes one skill and set of actions, and then staying rich takes another. I always say amateurs want to make it, pros want to keep it. Right? Pros want to multiply it. So diversification depends wildly on your starting line. And of course, we got to assume that I'm talking to an entrepreneur here. You put a guy making 80 grand, 100 grand working for the man. I'm going to alter this advice. But I can tell you this, that the richest people on the planet do not diversify, right? Zuck wasn't doing Airbnb on the side while building Facebook. Elon Musk, to my knowledge, owns no property at all, right? He's just a pure businessman through and through, right? Bill Gates on the come up. He owned Microsoft. Sure, now he owns now that he has gobs of money, he owns hundreds and hundreds of acres of real estate with fresh water and farmland, by the way. You might want to take that one away. But anyway, he diversified long after he made his money, right? He took all his eggs, put them in one basket, and then watched the basket like a rock star. So if the goal is to get rich, and now get a little red arrow. You are here, do you got a rich family? You know what I mean? You got the gold card at the age of 18. Then you're going to have a different roadmap than if you had to do what we had to do. And that's to fight the real, fight through the, what do you call it? The old school of hard knocks. But anyways, the goal is to be rich. It's easiest through successful business with high margins. If goal is to stay rich, then what's going to happen is you segue towards diversifying. You want the best person to speak on that. It would be Ray Dalio. 8 to 12 non-correlated assets. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But at the end of the day, people much smarter than I. But end goal, the end goal is to have a great life, right? The successful business coach is semi-retired for the rest of their life. What I'd say is make sure that you don't get all hung up on, all these fancy terms. Like, how many people are just like hell-bent on earning passive income? Okay. Let me know how it's working out. Okay. The answer is not very well, a ridiculous percentage of the time. And the more they talk about it, frankly, probably no, actually, I take that back. But no doubt, you know what I mean? That the passive income is a pretty tough thing to get a hold of. So there you go. And by the way, like, you become semi-retired, like hang around some cool, like the goal is a great life, right? Like our community, one of the things that I find myself saying all the time is you find your people around here, right? Like they support and they socialize with one another. It's just like if you drive a Harley, you hang out with people who drive Harleys. You drive a souped up, cool Jeep, you want to hang out with other people driving what? Souped up, cool Jeeps. You're a veteran, want to hang out with other veterans. So anyway, so we've got a community of, we call them, our people. We become your people, you become our people. And it's a pretty cool community. Anyways, goal is to have a great life, but I don't know how we got anyway, shoot. Before I go down the rabbit hole. There you go. That's my answer on diversifying. What do you think?
I wanted to throw another one past you because I swear to God, we talk about this like every other week, and yet some people still manage to screw it up. And you're going to be shocked, or maybe not at all, when I tell you the word is profit.
Oh, there you go, shades. Yeah. I would concur with that one. So profit. So one word, profit. What do I say? I'll tell you this, the most profitable thing you can do is stop trying to impress people. Read a book. This is The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. I've read that book many a times, and the one, The Art of Spending, I think it's called. Very cool, great book. Talks a little bit about the same thing, right? Much the same message, but kind of flipped on its ear. Very good. Highly recommend it. But I just say, trying to impress people, like it's not keeping up with the Joneses anymore. It's keeping up with the Kardashians. Trust me, your neighbors are not impressed with your car as you'd like to think, right? Frankly, they hardly notice and they 100% don't care. Profit is the domino that knocks over all the other dominoes. So there's 3 laws of real estate. What are they? Location, location, location. So you say, Karl, give me 3 laws of business. What am I going to say? Profit, 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 right? Maybe dummy that down. Look, 80% of businesses, more than that, but 80% of businesses in North America have 10% net margins. You decrease their expenses by 10.5%, which tends to be very easy to do. What happens? You double their profits, or decrease their expenses by 5.5. You raise their prices by 5%. Bingo, bango, bungo. What do you think happens? Your instincts are correct. You double your profits, right? What does that do? Your fees, like once they do that, you do that in 30, 60, 90 days. I don't know why it would take you. No, I take that back. Maybe it's going to take you 90 days. It shouldn't in most cases, depending upon how capable you are, the state of their financials and their wherewithal. But basically your fees become free for the rest of the year. What do? You high five them and say, congratulations. They say, what are you congratulating me about? Go, I'm free for the rest of the year. Can you believe it? I'm $3,000 a month, 36 grand a year. When we annualize these numbers, guess what? Bingo, bango, bongo. I am free. They go, wow, that person is not canceling anytime soon. But anyway, so that's like just 2 steps of the Jumpstart 12 and the operating system that that we have and can be installed in any business. So it's pretty, you know what I mean? Like that's what we got, a profit. I didn't build revenue acceleration software. I built profit acceleration software. Like you got a client, 15% net margins, you decrease their expenses by 10%. What happens? You boost their profits by 57%. Maybe differently. I used to say this all the time, kind of come away from it, but I don't think I've said it for some time. But like, say you get a landing page and you got 2% conversions, right? And then we increase those conversions to 3%. Sounds kind of lame, right? Like 1%, Karl. Like getting so excited. It's not a 1% bump, it's a 50% bump, right? But people don't think in percentages. Or you got 20% margins and I help you increase them to 30%. That's not a 10% bump, that's a 50% bump, right? Because 20 to 22 would be 10, 20 to 24 would be 20, 20 to 26 would be 30, etc. 20 to 30 is a 50% bump. So I was interviewed some time ago. And they asked me, like, I can't remember, but it was like, give me your best wealth hack. And not surprisingly, Road Dog, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but one of the things I said is you got to train your mind to think in percentages. There's a pretty good chance when I went from 2 to 3%, you were thinking 1% bump, not 50% bump. Train your mind to think in percentages. And again, what is that going to do? It's going to help you stand out. It's going to make you unique. When you go to the networking function and you're talking about percentages and numbers and whatnot, without being too geeky and too over the top, I would encourage you there, like say what I just said there. And like, I don't think, my 12-year-old daughter could get her head around that stuff. Some very basic math. And I think you'll really stand out. You'll really be unique versus somebody else there talking, sales, marketing, etc. That's what I got, Shoots. That's what I got.
Hey, so more than a singular word. And you know what? Honestly, dude, like you would think it's kind of self-explanatory, but I kind of want you to dive in a little bit more. When how am I doing this here? We're saying unique profit. No, what was it? Sorry. Unique selling proposition. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. Like talk to me about that, right? It sounds so simplistic, but I think people still get it wrong.
Yeah. USP is what you might have heard, USP might be more common to hear than unique selling proposition. Okay, different. So what we teach is a market dominating position, which is fundamentally the same thing, but it's just a lot more powerful. What I mean by that is a market dominating position solves the biggest problem for the ideal client. And then a unique selling proposition will have you stand out, make you unique, make you different, right? So as an example, I built a multi-million-dollar business on 4 words: no results, no fee, right? If I owned a home services business, it would rhyme with on time, on budget. You tell me, on time, on budget. Would you agree that's the biggest problem? You want your kitchen done. You want somebody to show up and do whatever home services. What's the problem? They're never on time. And then all of a sudden you get the bill and it's bigger. On time, on budget. Would that make you feel more comfortable with working with them? A really good example of teaching this is daycare. Okay, so introduce me to 100 daycares, like the owners. They were in a room and I say, okay, what is the number one problem that your clients are solving by coming to you? Or what's the the problem to solve? And they're going to say location and price. I'm going to say why. Say, well, when they call, they say, where are you and how much, right? Well, 2 minutes of homework with mom would quickly identify that, the price and the location come into it. But the biggest problem is accountability, the hot button topic, the hot button thing, the thing that's going to raise their eyebrows and get them to drive a little further, pay a little bit more, is going to be accountability. Why? They're leaving their little Sally, their little Johnny with you for 8 hours a day while they're at work. So accountability, what could you do? So if you had an accelerated learning center, that would be a unique selling proposition, because I think that's going to be different than the competition. And the kids are going to go into grade 1 with a grade 2 reading, writing, and arithmetic ability, right? It's probably going to work. Depends upon where you're at, like location wise. Like in an affluent community, that will probably work better than maybe not so affluent community. But at the end of the day, does mom go to bed worrying about her kid going into grade 1 with a grade 2 reading, writing, and arithmetic ability? And I would dare say not. So a web watch accountability. So I just imagine mom is missing her kid wildly for 8 hours. She can pull over on the side of the road, open up her iPad and watch the kids, and they're playing, and she can see little Johnny and she can see Sally and she can see them socializing, playing blocks, etc. I think that is going to excite her at a higher. That's an example of a market dominating position because that is their hot button issue. That's what I'm trying to get at. On time, on budget. I think you're solving the biggest problem for the ideal client. So you want to work to be the only versus be the best. And of course, you should work to be world class. Of course, your client should work to be world class. But at the end of the day, you really want them to stand out. Like the Google AdWord days. Everybody was fighting tooth and nail to be first on page one, the first ranked. And it's like, well, become the only. And then all of a sudden, guess what? There's nobody competing. So you're automatically going to be where? And the answer is on the first page and the first entry. So and maybe shoots just very quickly. David Ogilvy has a great frame for this. Like the top 5% in business would have a big idea. So you say, okay, well, explain to me what a big idea is, which is very similar to market dominating position. But I think number one, so did it make me gasp? Did it make me gasp when I first heard it? Two, is it unique? Three, could it be used for 20 to 30 years? Right? Could it be used for literally decades? But could it be used for 25 years? Number four, does it fit the strategy to perfection? And by the way, there's a really good chance that your client doesn't have a strategy. Remember, their greatest strategy potentially of all time is Southwest Airlines. A plane on the ground makes no money. Okay, so they got to get on and off quickly, luggage on and off quickly, when it absolutely positively has to be there the next day. Piping hot pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Like, you got to have like a strategy, right? Like, what is it that you're in the business of doing? So does it fit the strategy to perfection? And the fifth one is, do I wish I had thought of it myself? Right? So does it make you gasp? Is it unique? Could you use it for 20 to 30 years? Does it fit the strategy to perfection, the business strategy to perfection? And fifth, is it like one of those things where you go, dang, I wish I thought of that myself? Like mine, when I created when we created the software like a decade and a half ago, this is before the simulator, flash coaching software, group coaching software, the coaching portal, and of course the AI business coaching dojo, which is rather new. Our big idea, and like kind of use that exact framework that I just outlined. I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. And again, I memorized that to the point, not where I know it, but where I couldn't forget it, right? I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising, right? Bingo, wake me up at 3:00 in the morning from a deep, deep sleep, and I could spit that out without doubt, right? You want to get that. A plane on the ground makes no money. So you want to have like your big idea. You want your client to have a big idea, can really help with marketing. And by the way, on my NDP, better news is it doesn't take 45 minutes. It takes 5. It's so easy. Our software populates with all the industry standard numbers. Like often you'll sit with a prospect and then they won't know, their margins. Well, guess what? It just gives industry, it's a restaurant, it's a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, bingo, bango, bongo. Just automatically populates the industry average. And by the way, AI, importantly, has poured gasoline on our ability to deliver this at a ridiculously high level. Been unreal, exhausting, but unreal. But anyway, so shoots, USP, got to be different versus be the best. But of course, you should work to be the best. So that's my answer, Shoots. What do you think?
Well, you mentioned MDP as well, and speaking of that, I think it was that last week? Maybe it was the week before, but you mentioned something about the top 5%, but you didn't go into any details on it. Can you just sort of, if you remember it anyways, the secret of the top 5% in any industry?
Yeah, so that's just 80-20, by the way, right? That's not like, like that's not a throwaway number. You go 80-20, 80-20, 80-20, 80-20, these numbers all flesh out. I remember one of my chats with Rich Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Like the Rich Dad, not a guy in Hawaii, by the way. I was the guest speaker of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad Super Conference in Canada in like 2007, I'm going to say. At the end of the day, I used to know that world really, really well. I'd say this, here's advice he gave me. The top 5% aren't lucky. they're trained. Okay. The problem, most people get introduced to high-end training, not trained on high-end training, right? So deep, there's deep work, and it's a must read. If you haven't read it, in my opinion, be a good one to point your clients. Instead of going a mile wide and an inch deep, going an inch wide and a mile deep, right? Probably pretty straightforward. So you got to go deep. Like, you're not, if you do my 4-day training on reading financial statements, you're not going to become an accountant, right? But you go deep with it and you could 100% become dangerous very, very quickly, right? Like the top 5% are not driven by like worry, envy, fear. They don't drive looking out the rear view mirror. They drive looking out the windshield with 100% focus, right? What is 100% focus? Focused is when you're driving in a snowstorm and your chin's up against the top of the steering wheel, right? Versus a Sunday stroll in the neighborhood while you can get to and from the grocery store with hardly paying attention, right? That zero focus going on there. It's the focus in going 100 miles an hour down the highway, racing your buddy, which hopefully you're not doing. That sounds like a bad idea. But anyways, but you know what I mean? Like you're really dialed in. So yeah, like, I mean? You got to get dialed in. I just think confidence, the 5% don't wait to be ready. They just do and learn along the way. They spent 10 years looking stupid, getting said no to, continuing, but learning, looking stupid again, going again, and doing a really good job on the back end, because you're not going to get there if you don't fulfill at a high level. But they end up in the 5%, and people say they're so talented. No, it took 10 years to be the overnight success, right? Like people go in and out of careers every 5 years. You want to be the top 5% of coaching? What do you need to do? You need to keep going, right? You'll be remembered for what you refuse to give up on. Let me tell you this, you likely don't need more motivation. You need less options. Right? Stop thinking about other things you can do. You got to go all in. If you're a business coach, go all in. 5% blow up the boats, right? Like I've been in the coaching space for 21 years. Again, created a operating system that can be installed in any business with wild profitability. It's in my bones to help business coaches and ultimately help business owners, but I do it through the business coaching community, right? The bottom line is, if you get it, you're semi-retired for the rest of your life. When I say get it, you crack the code as a business coach. I think it was last week at the week before shoots, we talked about 3 levels of coaches: hiders, wingers, and the installers. Hiders, you're hiding behind the computer, staring at the phone and experiencing pain. Wingers are, you're winging it. You're winging it with your clients. You're winging your opening. You're winging your close. You're winging your presentation. You're winging this. You're winging that. Most the thing that I don't want you to be doing is winging it with your damn clients, right? It's a bad idea. And by the way, the highest level is what? It's an installer. Be an installer. You ever hear Tony Robbins? Love Tony Robbins, hate Tony Robbins? Completely irrelevant. The guy talks in frames and 1, 2, 3 and ABC and, paint by numbers all the time. It's always, you know what I mean? Like it's always frameworks that he's delivering and metaphors, examples, etc. He's an installer. You need to be an installer. Last thing that just shoots. Okay, so the one thing I can tell you, in fact, I saw Brendan Bouchard. He did an interview, and this has absolutely been my experience, but he worded it really, really well. He just said, he's coached, multiple billionaires, and he said the one thing they have is assertiveness. I believe he used that word, but that's what he meant. Like they assert themselves into your existence, right? Like I remember like Rich Dad, speaking to him, like he 100% just kind of asserted himself into what I was doing. It was a total assumption and just an automatic assumption that, this is what was going to happen, right? And I was going to follow suit. It's kind of interesting to see. But at the end of the day, I think that's a big one. So when you meet with the accountant, when you meet with the business broker, when you meet with the graphic designer, when you meet with the web designer, when you meet with the online directory, when you meet with the digital marketing firm, when you meet with the whoever, like, are you asserting yourself inside? Are you showing up as Santa as opposed to the Grinch and giving, assuming that automatically they're going to want your magic. They're going to want to learn about, your ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, etc. So anyway, shoots, that's my answer, bud. That's what I got.
I've been kicking around this idea of asking you a specific question, but it makes me nervous as hell. So because this could be, we could set a podcast
I'm nervous,
record
shoots.
for the absolute longest answer in the history of podcasts. This could be like a Joe Rogan episode on one question.
Okay, what?
Oh my God. Okay, get ready, everybody. Like, get comfortable, grab a pillow, grab a drink, get some caffeine in the system. Karl, Bryan, what frustrates you?
What frustrates me? That's the question.
You make it sound like you have such a short answer, but we both know that ain't the truth, Shoots.
Besides the Toronto Maple Leafs, that is. Besides the Toronto
my-
Maple Leafs, what frustrates
Oh my heavens. Shoots. Oh my heavens. Lots would frustrate me. I think that's a fair point. Um, Look, what frustrates me? Coaches, I think I just said it. There's 3 levels of coaches, but coaches making it so much harder than it needs to be, right? Like you get 20 clients at $2,000 a month. Honestly, it's so easy. It's scary. It's 480 grand a year, 80% margins. You were semi-retired for the rest of your life. Of course, you move up to $5,000 a month. You might want to go to 10 grand a month, and it gets far more exciting, obviously. But I think the influencer type sprouting off advice that's ridiculous, like rage baiting and clickbaiting and confusing the hell out of everybody, right? Like, okay, so let's go Jack Dorsey, who I think is a total stud business guy. And he's worth a few billion. So apparently I'm correct. But like he tweeted about 5 years ago, I don't know the exact wording, but it was like Bitcoin will save humanity, right? What? You know what I mean? Like make it stop. It reminds me of the WeWork guy, right? I can't remember his name, Newman or something. He said the goal of WeWork, right, which is like like a virtual, workstation. That's a bit, he's a big real estate play, blah 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 blah. But went up in flames, and his goal was to elevate the world's consciousness. Like, can we all get bloody serious, please? Of course, and what happened? He went out of business. And by the way, he went out of business. Okay, I wish he didn't. I wish he didn't. Again, we're in business to stop that from happening. So I don't say that. You know what I mean? Like that's a bad thing. What's really horrific, and maybe he was winging it, by the way, which I think the results suggest as much. But he raised like hundreds of millions of dollars. So hundreds of millions of dollars got lit up. You know what I mean? We're lit up and set on fire, right? And what happened? Now the guy's completely disappeared. So much so I think he's harder to find than Road Dogg's wallet when the bill shows up. But quite trying to get 2 shoots. Now, so Jack Dorsey is saying that AI agents will manage his entire company, right? And Jack Dorsey probably will have AI agents that will manage his entire company. But to think AI agents will manage the average 5 to 10-year-old roofing company anytime soon is, I promise you, preposterous, right? Just careful what you internalize and what to listen to. Like you watch what you put in your mouth, you got to watch what you put in your head. I think the numbers are like 1.78, like less than 2% of homes have paid AI, right? So the average business owner doesn't even know what ChatGPT is. And if they do, what are they doing with it? They're using it as a glorified Google, right? What am I trying to say? AI will not in any way affect your ability to get a coaching client today, next week, or next month. Yes, you should learn AI. Yes, I am learning AI. Yes, you should use AI. Yes, you should teach your clients to use and leverage AI. Yes, AI will be meaningful and provide mere material change to the world, right? But worrying about it isn't going to help you get more clients today, tomorrow, next week. What do you got to do? Step by step, ferociously. They told us in 2000 the internet, the cell phone were to make us work less and get more done. Right? Like, let me know how that's working out for you, specifically the work less thing, right? Ask a developer if they're working less right now with AI. Yes, I'll wait. Use your instincts. It's a hard no. And something else that comes to mind that's frustrating, like I'm on Facebook once a day and I'll see like an influencer sprouting off how they own, 20 businesses and run them from like one Google sheet, right? What are they doing? They're hinting that you could do the same, right? 350 comments later. And of course, what do the comments say? Magic Google sheet, magic Google sheet, magic Google sheet. And it's like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not happening. But I want to be very, very clear here. AI is coming. It is coming thick and fast, and it is meaningful. It's going to provide material change. There is no doubt. But for you worrying about it and thinking about it and, tooting around too much, what you got to do is you need to get out and speak to the roofers and the butchers and the bakers and the candlestick makers and the HVAC companies and go help them create a wildly more profitable existence. Will that involve AI? I would hope so. Is it going to stop you from getting a coaching client this week? It is a hard no. And I just feel like when I'm speaking to folks, AI is monopolizing a lot of those conversations. And I would say, look, you just got to keep one foot step by step ferociously, a la, our boy, Jeff Bezos. Anyway, shoots. I don't know. That's all. I'm going to stop there, but I could go on and on. I ain't gonna.
You're saying I can't take the week off because AI is doing it all for me? Is that what's happening right now? That's the worst news ever. Hey, speaking of other great stuff, when people are like, "Oh, you need side hustles and you need this and blah blah blah," don't you have a saying on something like that? Like, your second business needs to feed the first.
Yeah. If they're okay, so if they're the CEO, you're speaking to somebody and they're the CEO of 3 companies. I don't need to speak to them to know that they got 3 mediocre companies. Okay. So they're saying the second business eats the first, right? So if they do start or acquire another business, the second business needs to feed the first, right? Not eat the first. The second business needs to feed the first. Like a person I saw today, he's built like $100 million company. That's annual revenue, not valuation, by the way. And has probably spent, got no idea, but $25 million on Facebook ads successfully. Translation, thinking you can duplicate that with a scoreboard or a Google sheet is just bloody ridiculous 99% of the time. Assume your roofing client is not the 1%, please. These guys need, the 3 reasons why a company won't sell: not profitable, not systematized, too owner reliant. Go solve those 3 problems. Make them more profitable, make them more systematized, and help the owner get out of, his own way and start working on the business instead of in it. And I think you'd be and I'm not saying don't be optimistic. I'm not, not saying don't push yourself and don't push your abilities. Not, don't go set monster goals. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, don't go change the game. But part of what I am saying is build one great business with excellent margins and enjoy your life, your family, your friends. More to the point, help your client do the exact same thing and stay on track. Thinking that Bitcoin is going to save humanity or that, the WeWork guy is going to, up level the human consciousness or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, oh, please, just step by step, ferociously, just stay in your lane. Go generate some leads, go convert some clients, and then fulfill on the back end with those clients and make your life so much easier, make your clients so much easier. It's so the bottom line, it's just so much easier than people tend to make it in their head. And that, building this, multiple 6-figure coaching business just every day. It's, the problem is it's so boring, right? It's just the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So what you got to do is just build the business coaching business of your dream, help your client build the business of their dream, and go go play social hockey, go play social volleyball, go rock climbing, get your excitement from that outside of, 9 to 5. Anyway, shoots, just make it difficult. Like Elon Musk is not the right person to emulate 99.9% of the time, nor is, Jack Dorsey for that matter. And I feel like we're on Facebook and we're getting driven all this incredibly high level stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. And getting taken off point. And if we just dial in and go step by step ferociously, life would be a lot easier. Shoots. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, just like one of your favorite bands of all time, with a quote from them: "Don't go chasing waterfalls." So there you go, Shoots.
Shoots.
Listen, a little TLC reference, right? Never hurt anybody. So there you go. Um, you talked about luck a couple of weeks ago, and you said it like a bunch of times that like timing is the luck for business owners. Can you explain what you mean and how timing can be used as an advantage for a
Hmm.
business?
Uh, Timing. Well, okay. Um, okay, let's just go ridiculously successful companies over the last 10, 20 years, Facebook, Amazon, let's go Walmart, Apple, ChatGPT, NVIDIA. One of the biggest things in their favor is timing. Timing rhymes with luck, I would dare say. Like, okay, what do I mean? If they were created, Apple, Walmart, whoever, if they were created 5 years earlier or 5 years later, the result would be categorically different. Very comfortable saying that, like almost every single time. It rhymes with going out of business, frankly. But anyways, and that again, you look at somebody who's wildly successful. Think of Zuckerberg. You know how much money he spent on the metaverse? Like he renamed the company Meta, and he shut the whole thing down. Basically, you know how much money was spent on that? My heavens. Um, but anyway, so again, it's just timing. And let me tell you something, Shoots. I'm going to go in a different direction. I'll tell you something on like a personal level. Um, it's also critical. Like, okay, you're going to book a doctor's appointment, right? Between 2 and 5 p.m. Bad idea. Why? The doctor's already been there for a full day. The doctor is tired. The doctor is unalert. And you need to see your doctor, and it's important. When do you go? You go in the AM. You go at the beginning of their shift, not at the end of their shift. Like you exercise in the morning and you'll burn like significantly more fat than in the afternoon. And that said, in the afternoon, you'll get less injuries than in the morning because your muscles are stronger, right? So are you strong or are you fat, right? Anyways, but you know what I mean? Which one? And I would adjust my workout routine based on that starting line, right? Another thing like start dates would probably also be worth mentioning, like starting a diet, starting a business, hiring a new staff member, releasing a new product, and the new marketing program. Your client's brain loves a clean slate, right? And Steve Jobs kind of talked about this all the time with he would relate it to Buddhism. So you start your coaching relationship with them on New Year's Day, birthday, Monday, anniversary, first of the month, the beginning of the week. Use those as start dates, and I think that you'll find that they'll kind of be drawn to the clean slate of it, organically kind of feels good. Like let's get started on Monday and murder this thing together. Put out your hand, shake it, boom. Okay, perfect. Let's go. Anyway, so that's kind of a interesting. Like I will tell you that there's a reason January 1st is January 1st, right? By the 15th, all those New Year's resolutions may or may not be lit on fire. But at the end of the day, it's the clean slate. So if you've got that coming up, whatever the date may be, it might be a good way. Just let's get started on Monday and murder this thing is something that I have said different times. Yeah, and they'll be more likely when you say that they're going to be more likely to say, like that feels really good. You know what I mean? Like let's go. You know what I mean? Like again, Monday sounds great. Anyway, so that's what Shoots timing. I don't know how good of a job I did, but timing and luck, the timing of the business. Like if you're going do we have we have an aging population? Yeah, you tell me yes or no. Feel free to look it up. The answer is absolutely. Okay, well, anti-aging would be an example of an industry that might be a good idea to go into, right? Or like our world, like virtual. I remember like I've been working virtually for decades, right? Well, that's very new to a lot of people. All of a sudden, COVID hit. Zoom, Zoom, they nearly broke. Zoom was either going to go to the moon or break. And it was, hovering on both. It was timing, right? It was right place, right time. And Zoom is Zoom. I don't want to say Zoom is Zoom because of COVID, but Zoom is at the level that Zoom is at because of COVID. Absolutely. So are more and more and more people going to be able to work virtually in the future? You think that's yes. Well, that's the kind of thing that you can be walking people towards. It's like the wave taking people to you take me surfing. If you give me a good wave, I can surf really well. You give me a bad wave and I suck. But a really good surfer can ride a bad wave and look like they know what they're doing. The anti-aging component, the aging population of it, can take an average business owner and make them really successful off the back of the wave carrying them to shore. The stand in front of a parade, let the parade push you. That's worded differently. Shirts, that's my funny what I do. That's it. Timing. Good one.
All right. Well, let's button this episode up with everyone's favorite segment, the most relaxing part of the entire show, folks, and that is our moment of zen.
Shoots. Moment is in. I thought we were done, Shoots. I thought we were done. If you're worried about a civil war, relax. Why? We can't get people to go to work. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay, right? Look, worry, envy, fear, and doubt is just no way to live a great life, right? You gotta forgo them for what? It's positivity, optimism, right? There's a famous saying, and I'll make a meal of it, but it sounds something like this: like, if I had one wish for you, I'd wish for you optimism, right? Wow, like how optimistic are you? You know what I mean? And I kind of earlier, I'm trying like AI. I get people just scared poopless of AI or just going all AI. And I don't know that it's as wonderfully profitable as they're making out. Some people are killing it, and I want to be very clear. I see it, and that's great, right? But I think that you're going to find that is the minority, and that's a distraction for a wild percentage of the population. As business coaches, our job is to get in there and make businesses wildly successful. So, anyways, I just stand on the side of I wish for you optimism. Is AI going to end the world? And, we're going to go the way of the dinosaur? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe we will, but I just choose not to look at that. Let's put it that way. I'll put this on the rail. Okay. I took my family on a vacation to Orlando, Disney and Universal, etc. a while back. And before we left, my focus was all about how do you want this vacation to feel, Karl? Like how do I want the vacation to feel, right? Not what are we going to do and how busy are we going to be and how busy are we not going to be and what are we going to see and not, you know what I mean? No, it was how are we going to make it feel, right? And part of what we did is we gave out Disney points for positive vibes, and then we took them away for negative ones, right? So if you did something good, you got a Mickey point. Not a Mickey point it was, right? And then if you did something bad, we took it away, right? We had so much fun. It was a total blast. Needless to say, like lots of Disney, Mickey points were given out. I also rode 41 roller coasters with my fearless 12-year-old daughter. Felt like I had a concussion afterwards, but I'd do it all again in a heartbeat, to be clear. What do I mean by that? Get less interested in what people think of you and get more interested in how you make people feel when they're around, right? Like, what's your vibe? Is it needy? Is it a need to prove yourself vibe or a giving freely and in control of your emotions kind of vibe, right? Like nothing to prove, nothing to hide, in control, not trying to control. Like, how do you want your house to, like, rather than get your house, is it going to be clean? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Are your kids going to do the chores? How do you want your house to feel? How do you want your vacation to feel? That's kind of how I got there a second ago. How do you want your energy to feel when you go to the networking group? I think that might be like, how do you want it to feel? And again, the groundedness of a grandfather. And I will tell you, as a higher level frame, you want to be Santa Claus, not the Grinch. Give, as opposed to take. Anyway, shits, that's all I got, bud. That's all I got, but there you go. Disney, Mickey points was, it was a hit, but it was a blast.
There you go, folks. There you go. Well, thanks for hanging with us for another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Here's the deal. If you want more of this every single day, Karl sends out daily emails packed with coaching strategies, client wins, and the stuff that's actually moving the needle right now. So head to focus.com, get on the inside. It's where the real work happens. And hey, if this episode helped you, do us a solid, share with another coach who needs to hear it. Leave us a review if you're feeling generous, because we're on a mission to impact as many coaches as possible, and you sharing the show makes that happen. That is it for another week, folks. We will see you in the next episode. And remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.